In today's video, I interview the CEO of Eureka Lithium Corp, Jeff Wilson, and we discuss why Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, and Richard Branson have invested in a strategic metals exploration and mining company for lithium batteries, namely in Northern Quebec, Canada. Now, auto manufacturers and energy producers have begun direct investment in lithium and cobalt exploration companies. So if you'd like to listen in on why lithium supply and its supply chain is so important today, then stay tuned to the video. Hey, Jeff, thanks for coming on to my show today. I'm a Florida Stacker. Normally, we talk about gold and silver here on this channel, but I have been talking a lot lately about lithium and cobalt and other metals that are really hot right now, especially in the popular mining jurisdiction of Canada. So welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and thanks so much for having me and giving me the opportunity to speak to you today.
I really appreciate it. So I have some questions for you regarding your current discovery up in Northern Quebec. We're going to talk about that here in just a minute. But for my audience to kind of set the stage, why is lithium so important today?
Yeah, I mean, lithium is, I think, quintessential in, the aspect of sort of moving us forward in a, cleaner world that, so much of the population, and certainly from a political standpoint, there seems to be a strong emphasis for. And if we're going to sort of, change our habits and various mechanisms of how we live, lithium is going to be a key part of that. As of right now, lithium ion batteries are a critical component for an awful lot of sort of the clean energy alternatives. The most specific and probably the most easy to understand and tangible is electric vehicles. And because of the fact that this is a relatively emerging market in terms of the demand for this, the supply demand dynamics and the outlook going forward in terms of feeding that sort of proposed or expected supply that's going to be necessary, there's a real pinch here. And so lithium, I think, is here to stay. It's sort of the battery storage commodity of choice here for the foreseeable future. And there's just not enough of it around.
So that's probably why I'm reading in the news that companies like General Motors are moving to secure their position within the lithium supply chain. Is this something maybe that corporations learned on the back end of the pandemic, that supply chain disruptions can be pretty critical to their business? Are you seeing more of that as we move into 2024?
Yes, absolutely, and I think it is a byproduct of what we experienced coming out of COVID. I think that what we're seeing here is that automakers in particular, if we stick to that, and the likes of General Motors and Tesla and what was formerly Chrysler are making a move into the lithium space, not only to sort of secure supply of existing lithium extraction, but to also help feed those companies like mine with Eureka that are out exploring to try to find more of it, recognizing that even the current supply, is going to exhaust, and there's just not going to be enough of it. So, I think that seeing these automakers sort of moving down the food chain, right down to even going and looking for this stuff, is an indication that they can see that the supply dynamics are going to be a challenge. Right. And at the same time, when you're in the any manufacturing business, you set yourself up, these massive operations, assembly lines. Yes, some new technology may come along and there may be some different types of battery storage down the road, but they are building themselves out for the usage of lithium being a key component to these vehicles going forward. And so they can see that this isn't just a short timeline. This is, 10, 20 years worth of supply that, at present, we just don't see where it's going to come from.
Now, on the subject of electric vehicles in particular, there is strong demand coming out of China for EVs. Do you see that outside of companies trying to posture themselves to secure a space in their supply chain, is this also geopolitical in nature with China and things going on between Western nations at this time? How do you see that playing out?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's no question that what we have seen in the last several years, and it's not certainly not exclusive to lithium, but certainly critical metals, vital metals, energy metals and energy in general. I think you're seeing Western governments looking to remove themselves from sort of the reliance upon places like China. And so we've seen government incentives in the United States and in Canada and other countries looking to incentivize companies, again, like Eureka Lithium, to go out and find this necessary supply within geopolitically sound jurisdictions, within their own borders or with friendly neighbors. And so, unlike anything I've really experienced in my 25 plus years in the mineral exploration business, I've never really seen such a strong government support of exploration and delineating necessary minerals. So I think that's a really good thing for investors as well. As often, there's obstacles in the mining space. Mining is sometimes a bit of a dirty word, and people don't want it in their backyard. We're seeing a paradigm shift here, where I think now there's a strong desire to have this in our own backyard and to be able to secure this supply and not be reliant upon some of these more strained trade relations around the world.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing. And quite honestly, with how convenient it is that you are mining here in North America, you got a great jurisdiction to mine, governments are behind it. I think it's a great thing. Now, I'd like to shift to your current operations up in Northern Quebec. All right. Your company, Eureka Lithium Corp, has several projects on a site called Nunavik. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
You are. Yep.
So Nunavik is in far northern Quebec. I'll go ahead and pull a map to show my audience here how far north. We're talking right up against the Hudson Strait. Now, there's a lot of interest in this region for lithium as well as other minerals, including cobalt. But you guys were the first ones to go. Can you talk about what led you down this path to explore so far north?
Yeah, I mean, the province of Quebec in Canada has historically been a very mining-friendly jurisdiction. There are certain government incentives. They've now got sort of critical metal incentives to help incentivize companies like ourselves to focus there, to hire. It's a benefit to the economy, of course. Now, there's been a lot of activity in southern Quebec and regions like James Bay, where there's been a lot of activity, and it's become a bit of a crowded space, quite frankly. There's a lot of competition. So the ability to acquire, a meaningful size piece of ground, becomes a bit more challenged in these areas where there's a lot of activity. And of course, mineral exploration, it's a little bit like, shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, or entering a lottery. You want to have as many tickets as you can. So big land packages are important. We saw that up north in the northern third of the province of Quebec, there were a lot of geological affinities that spoke to us with respect to the potential to host meaningful lithium deposits, yet there really wasn't a lot of activity going on up there. It's a little bit more remote, understandably.
Yep.
And so we then dug in, and this was through a partnership with a geological advisor that we've aligned with named Shawn Ryan. Shawn identified through some publicly available material that the Quebec government had done a sort of a province-wide survey for lithium surveying, and had identified that some of the highest concentrations and highest readings of lithium in these lake bottom sediment sampling that the government had surveyed,
right,
some of the highest readings, like in the 99.5 percentile of any lithium reading anywhere in the province, were in this northern third in Nunavik. And so that sort of shifted our focus to say, look, we're not just looking to be in Quebec. We want to be where there's the best chance for a big, meaningful discovery, wherever that may be around the globe. It turned out to be in northern Quebec, in a good jurisdiction, as we discussed, right, and there was a lot of ground available for staking. So we were able to pick up, what we think are some of the best concentrations of lithium in that Nunavik region, and aligned with this sort of well-renowned prospector Shawn Ryan, who was sort of the rock whisperer, if you will, to sort of point us in the right direction on where we wanted to go.
He's got quite the impressive resume, known for the Yukon second gold rush, always been a prospector, very famous in the late 90s, early 2000s. And he's a member of your team?
He is.
Working along with you. Yep.
Yeah. Our arrangement with Shawn is it was sort of Shawn was the concept guy. I had the company, I had Eureka as sort of a shell company looking for something to focus on. We came together, we got Shawn, rather than sort of, the project being acquired for a bunch of cash. We brought on Shawn with equity. And so he's a major shareholder now. And so his upside is aligned with shareholders in that if we make
Yeah.
a major discovery and the stock goes higher, that's kind of where investors should be looking for people that are motivated that way. And so
Yeah,
Shawn's a big part.
that's a great thing. His stake is the whole company's stake. So yeah, it benefits everybody. Outside of your company operating in the region, I also read that another company called Kobold Metals is operating there, and they've caught quite a bit of media attention due to the number of billionaire investors that have invested in the company. They seem to be focused on the same type of minerals that perhaps you are, lithium and maybe cobalt and other minerals associated with EV batteries. What do you think of this? What does this tell potential investors about the area?
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting and it's quite telling. I mean, we all know the famous saying, follow the money, follow the smart money.
Yeah,
As you mentioned, this is a company, Cobalt Metals, that's got the likes of, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Richard
yep,
Branson as some of its biggest backers and investors. The company is private, so you can't own shares of Cobalt Metals
yeah,
unless you get access to these private rounds of financing. They've raised something in the ballpark of $300-400 million over the last couple of years with a focus on battery and critical metal exploration. So to have them sort of validate our thesis,
yep,
which is that this part of the world has upside potential for mineral discovery, I think is good. I mean, these are smart people that have lots of money and could go anywhere in the world, and they focused on this particular region. But it's also important, I think, from the standpoint of if you're a junior exploration company as we are, and you go out and you find a meaningful mineral discovery, what's the exit strategy? So yeah, you
yeah,
go and you find a deposit, but is somebody going to ultimately come in and take you out or buy you out or turn this into a mine? And so to have some, deep pocketed neighbors who are aligned in terms of their goals to try to find meaningful mineralization is not a bad thing. If we have some success here, you might just find that some of these neighbors come knocking on our door and maybe want to align or find some synergies, and I think that would be, of course, net beneficial to Eureka shareholders. And again, you can't
yeah.
own shares of Cobalt Metals, so if you want investment exposure to what's happening in that part of northern Quebec, publicly traded companies like Eureka is the way to go.
Yeah, you're the game in town, and there's something to say. People like to use the analogy about McDonald's. McDonald's being a burger company, but they're actually the largest real. They're in real estate. It's the
Yeah.
location, right? So
Yeah.
location is extremely important. That's why you see a lot of old gas stations, selling because the property value of that location is so high, and then a big gas station comes in with all the modern amenities just after it.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind sharing with us, what's next? You guys continuing to drill. What are the next steps up there?
Yeah, I mean, I think 2023 was a real setup year for us. I mean, really sort of in the early stages, in the spring of last year, we put together the deal with Shawn to acquire the projects 100%. We did an equity financing with private placement. We raised, a substantial amount of money to be able to sort of, kickstart things. Again, these are big land packages. They're highly prospective, but they do require a fair bit of work and boots on the ground in order to sort of figure these things out and identify where you want to be. So we spent much of 2023, sort of the summer and into the late fall, with boots on the ground, crews going into some of those hot spots and trying to duplicate the surveying that was done by the Quebec government,
Okay.
identify elevated levels of lithium or the right trace metals, basically with the view of trying to sort of get this set up for a first phase of drilling, which is really where the rubber hits the road in the exploration business. If you drill and you hit, you're onto something. So we spent most of 2023 kind of getting some targets advanced to a stage where they were drill ready or drill worthy. We have all the necessary permitting and consent to do that. And so as we enter here into 2024, we'll have a lot of that data from that work that we did late last year still kind of coming in, and we'll be evaluating and interpreting that in terms of giving us guidance on where we go next. And then the field season there sort of kicks open in the spring, where we can get back into the region and initiate with a more aggressive and systematic program that I hope includes one or more drill programs coming into 2024. Now, in the meantime, because we're a publicly traded company, and for shareholders and investors, companies that kind of go to sleep for months at a time, or
Yeah.
seemingly go to sleep for months at a time, is not really attractive. What we've also done is we've recently signed a letter of intent on an additional project in the more southern part of Quebec that came to us quite out of the blue. I think because of the fact that people saw that we were an aggressive lithium explorer, and so an opportunity came to us where this is a project that if we can get the deal secured, we could be drilling there because it's further south, road
Yeah.
accessible, it's not seasonal. We could be drilling there as early as February. So there is the potential here to still stay active, create some catalysts, generate news flow, and kind of keep the market interested and tuned in as we sort of push that project forward in the short term, but prep up for a more aggressive program up north as we get into the spring and summer.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's obviously quite cold up there. I imagine the ground is a little hard this time of year. I will go ahead and direct everyone watching. If you would like more information on the company, I will make sure to have that in the video description section. Jeff, do you happen to have a roadmap? Any kind of short to long range plan that perhaps on the website that I may be able to share with my viewers today on your plans going forward?
Yeah, I think that the best source of information at present would be our website, which is eurekalithiumcorp.com. We've got a corporate presentation. We've got a couple of videos or quite a few videos there, both
Great.
stuff that I've done as well as sort of just background. There's some interviews with Shawn Ryan. So if you want to go directly to sort of the source in terms of where these concepts have come from and sort of the person we're all sort of backing and betting on in terms of the geological expertise. There's some good content from Shawn in there as well. So yeah, I think the website's probably the best place to start, and that kind of lays out who and what we are and what the objectives are going forward here.
Excellent. I'll make sure to have that in the video description section as well. So to kind of recap everything, you've got a highly in-demand mineral known as lithium. There are several known locations throughout the world, hotspots like Australia, in Chile, in South America, and in parts of Canada that are known. The area in Northern Quebec that you guys are currently operating in is not really well known, but is becoming well known. There's more interest in the area, more investment in the area. Corporations and countries are moving to secure their own supply chains of lithium due to all of its benefits for batteries and energy going forward. And you guys are already there. So I'll make sure to have everything in there. But if there's anything else about your company you'd like to share with my viewers today, please let us know.
Yeah, no, the only thing is just the ticker symbols. If people trade on the Canadian Stock Exchange, we're ERKA, and on the OTCQB we are UREKF, and accessible on either of those platforms for anybody who's interested in looking at the share price and stock.
Yeah, absolutely. And as part of those links, I'll have some investor information. It's probably going to come directly from your website, which I'll share with my audience as well. Well, hey, I really appreciate your time today. It's very interesting learning about all the exploration and drilling that's going to come. And I look forward to talking to you again in the future, especially when some more discoveries come along. So thank you for your time, Jeff. Appreciate you being here.
Been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Have a great day.
Thank you for watching our video. I hope you subscribe to our YouTube channel.